Welcome everybody to Powerful Impact. Today you just have me and Nev here, but we have a special guest, Dan Lish. Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And I know people see the sunshine and they're acting like, why is she saying night and it's clearly daytime?
Yeah. Well, I'm in England, and right now it's 8:47. So I mean, it's nice and autumnal. It's the fall here, and it's nice, but it's all dark. And welcome to my bedroom. Yeah.
So let's just start off breezy. Where are you from originally?
Yeah, well, like I say, I was born in Suffolk, which is a rural sort of countryside type east of England, and my father is originally from Brooklyn, New York. So I have the dual nationality, and my mother and father got together when he was in the Air Force, and that's how I got that connection. And yeah, so I'm on the south coast of England now with my wife and family, my two daughters, and live very close to the sea, which is a beautiful thing, in Brighton, England, which is like a teeny weeny little London by the sea, I guess you could say that. And so you could get to London in under an hour. So it's not too far away if you want some action. I'm quite happy here, thanks, being by the sea. So that's what's going on.
Being raised in in Suffolk. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Suffolk, yeah.
How did it shape you personally and professionally?
Well, I've always had the love for the countryside, just having that connection. So that I brought that with me for my whole life. Even when I was in, big cities and living in New York for a while, I still had that connection, to nature, which we all have really, which is easy to be lost nowadays. But I think that's very important as an artist to be connected to nature. And that's how Suffolk, I guess, shaped me. I mean, I was from a little town called Bury St Edmunds in the county of Suffolk. My mother's still there and my brothers. And yeah, I mean, I guess it didn't shape me too much. I guess it was the nurture from my family. I mean, they could be anywhere, but it's the nurture from your family that helps shape that individual from early years.
My question is, Dan Lish, welcome to the show. It says, what is the definition of hip hop to you? What does it mean to you? And what's the definition of hip hop to you?
Oh, God.
Go on your cosmos. I'm with the cosmos.
Oh,
right? And as people come back in. So let's go to Jupiter and Mars.
Okay.
Let's go.
Oh my God.
So I said, what's the definition of hip hop? And then that's question one. And part two, I guess, is what does hip hop mean to you? I know that's broad, right? But let's go.
It is very, very. All right.
Any way you want to go with it. Any way you want to go with
it. Overcoming. Creativity, overcoming inner strife, outer strife, and it's just very, because that question will have a different answer every decade for me personally. So back then, it probably would have been the battle, you know, putting your rep on the line, expressing yourself, the spirit of rebellion. And now that has changed for me. That question would have changed for me. I suppose it's just, actually, yeah, that's probably still there. Yeah, I'm rambling a bit, but I think that's good. I mean, I'm not in battle mode anymore. I'm at peace with that. That part of me, you know, being angry. It's a good vent for anger and past traumas, no matter how small. Which, as an elder, I can intellectualize that now, but back then I wouldn't have been conscious of that. But just being able to express yourself within all of these elements, you know, is a great gift for the world. You know, man, it's such a broad question. That could take up a whole show, just that question. And it was a 2-part question. So part
meaning, that was definition. Yeah, and the meaning. That was great answer though, because I think you encapsulated it. And I think it's still, even though you say it might change, I think that still is a major part of what it is to this day. And then I guess the second part is, what is it, the meaning to you? What does it mean to you? Now, that doesn't even have to just be a Webster's dictionary. It could just mean love. Like, what does it mean to you? You know, what's the value that is placed on it for you? That too.
Oh man, it's very hard to define. It's a vibe. It's sort of
a spirit, an energy.
It is an energy, yes, and it's an energy. It's for me, it is still that spirit of rebellion, which I think is very healthy for every human being to have, and that might be boiling down to questioning so-called figures of authority. And I think that's great, just to have that spirit of rebellion and just to express yourself. And the meaning of it is just, it's just the low down dirty funkness of it all, but also that sort of very etheric vibratory thing which you can't really put into words. You know, if I'm listening to, it's different because, you know, with all the different elements, you know, music, that'll be different from, you can't really put it into words, but when you're painting on a train or a wall, it's a different energy. But I guess it's still hip hop. It's very, very deep and profound question you've asked there, and I'm finding it very hard to answer.
You're doing a great job, man.
Okay, I'll leave it at that then.
Yeah, you're doing great. No, you're doing great. Awesome. And I think it's a different answer for everybody.
That's right.
Geographically, personally, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, like, so it's going to be a different answer for everybody. Sorry.
Yeah.
And again, that might change. I would say, I said previously every decade, but I reckon that would change, you know, daily, depending on, you know, how I'm feeling and if the way I can express myself. So it's a very open-ended question, but I appreciate that. Yeah, that's hard work.
Not only daily, sometimes hourly. It just depends on what's going on at that moment. Yeah. I can go from Wu-Tang to Heavy D to Scarface, depending on how the world is treating me that day. So
yeah.
So yeah, that's the
thing.
Very great.
Well, you said, you know, you immediately went to the music, and I was thinking of, I wasn't even thinking about MCs and rhyming and that. I was thinking of the whole umbrella, and that's why it's so vast. Yeah, so again, it's different. You went straight to rap. I was thinking more of like the whole thing, which is probably very difficult to explain, to put it all into words, but maybe I should have yeah, maybe come from the angle of the MC first, or the music, And
Well,
that's my brain. That's my brain for you. I just look at things differently.
and the essence really is hard to explain, and so I normally go to the music only because it's universally understood.
Yeah.
The lyrics, the beat, the drums, all of that is
That's right.
universally understood. I don't think many people understand how hip hop is actually a part of us. It's,
That's right.
when you grew up with it, because I'm of an age where I grew up with it. It was invented and we grew up. It's a part of us the way a lot of people can't understand. So,
and I probably would never get that deep spirit of it. Basically, being an Anglo-European, the essence of it. I'm always trying to seek the essence of it, and maybe these subtle differences are vast when you come down to that essence of what it is, that I could never really, or maybe I'm just over intellectualizing it or whatever, because we're all human and we're all just traversing this plane of existence in many different ways. But it's yeah, I've lost my thread now. I hear you.
So, well, how did you initially get into hip hop?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Into the culture.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I had the connections with New York through my father. I went out to New York in '77. I was very young. I only remember little abstractions of being, I think I was 6. I was 6 years old in '77. So then I came back there in my late 20s. But I'll answer your question directly instead of just wandering off again. It was just, I was around 13, and I just saw little snippets on the television, and it intrigued me. And on the radio, hearing the message, Rappers Delight, I was a bit too young in 70, if that was 79, because that was getting a lot of mainstream play. But I think I was still too young, so it wasn't on the radar then. I wasn't conscious of it then. But the message and Planet Rock, and I think even some of the cheesy videos that Rocksteady did, some of their songs. Even I wasn't into Buffalo Girls as well, Malcolm McLaren. Just seeing the b-boy and the graffiti, and it came as one big package, really, because with the help of Zulu Nation and Bambaataa, doing the Wild Style touring and the Zulu touring and all that in the early '80s around Europe. So I'm from that generation of. I was near the end of the first generation that got their hands on it. So my old school, they're probably 3, 4, 5 years older than me, so I'm 50 now, which I can't believe it when I say that. But so they'd be in their mid 50s or whatever, being at that age where they could go to see DJs and b-boys in jams and stuff. I was still a bit too young, but because where I couldn't get hold of it very well, that's what made me so passionate for it, which I hear even in America, if from whatever geographic region, it was still really hard to get hold of it. Radio was very limited, wasn't it, back in the day, playing it? You'd have to stay up until silly o'clock in the morning with your finger on the pause button, for me anyway, just to get, for me, one or two songs in a couple of hours, and slinging sort of coat hangers around the window frame so I could get a good signal from the London pirate radio stations, or Mike Allen or whatever. He was around 84, 85. trying to get hold of these radio stations, and so all this kept that passion and intrigue for me through all my life until I got to New York. And even then, I went straight to the Architects and went to all the B-boy jams and Crotona Park, Rosedale Park, hanging out with Buddy Esquire and all the old school Architects, all the B-boys, mainly B-boys and graffiti writers and DJs. That's who I gravitated to. Because when I got into hip hop, it was more electro funk. So it was a little bit of rhyming, but it was more instrumental for me. So, Twilight 22, Electric Kingdom, Planet Rock was more MC, heavy. But I got into it. What intrigued me was just the energy of it. And, it was like 50-50. It wasn't so much rhyming. And I remember when the rhyming started overtaking, I was like, oh man, I still really love the instrumental styles, and the DJing aspect of it. So even now, I'm more drawn to instrumentals and DJ tracks really than heavy rhyming, like continuously, So that's just where I come from. Started off quite instrumental for me, which is interesting. Yeah, did I answer your question?
You definitely did.
Yeah, cool.
What are some of the differences between European hip hop versus American hip hop, and then what are some of the similarities?
Well, when we first got hold of hip hop, and it was always New York and a bit of West Coast. I mean, for me personally, I would say that to a lot of my friends as well. We looked to New York as the Mecca, and the Boogie Down and all the 5 boroughs and shit. I've lost my thread. What was the question again? Sorry. You might have to edit that bit.
Now, what are some of the similarities and differences between European hip hop and American hip hop?
Well, we emulated what we loved. So the British MCs, the rappers, would have American accents. Even if they talk like me, as soon as they grabbed the mic, they wanted to sound like, Big Daddy Kane, Kaz, Melly Mel, or whatever, Although we have a heavy Jamaican population as well, so we had a lot of reggae influences as well, which was great. I would say actually England, I mean, I'm maybe a bit biased, but I felt we did it better than America when we infused the reggae, the aspect of it as well. Only because like the patois and the slang and stuff, it was a bit more authentic than just sounding, American. You know what I mean? Although, like I said, a lot of people, they just wanted to emulate. They loved it, so they wanted to sound like Ultramagnetic MCs. When they picked up the mic and cut up the break beats. We're sort of inspired by Kaz, Flash. I'm sorry, with the DJs, Flash and oh man. Well, yeah, I would say that. And there was a name I was gonna say, man, but it's just fallen out of my head. It was WizKid. Rest in peace. A lot of these influential DJs, because we had the sound systems here as well. Heavy sound systems in all the big cities. Through the black population, basically. Coming from the islands, and so that second wave of immigrants, I guess, on a Jamaican side, that was a heavy influence as well. And you ask a lot of British old school MCs like MC Mello and Duke and MC Duke and that, that they would say, yeah, they're all influenced from the sound systems. And sometimes there was older brothers that had the sound systems, were involved in the sound systems. So it was all part of it. So same what Kool Herc was doing, really. I mean, it's just, but I guess it's, it's, why, I don't know. You said it was sort of what were the similarities? Well, that was it. You chatted on the mic over drum beats, you know. And then as a b-boy, we were desperate. Me and my friends were just desperate to get any little snippet of visual representation we could see, because we were in a little town. We weren't in a big city. We weren't in the big city either. So because of our age as well, we couldn't travel around. Being 13, 14, 15, you know, you're still going home and being fed and watered. You're not that independent, unless you're right in the city, and I wasn't. So yeah.
Yeah.
The question, all right? Yeah.
Of course. So how did that transfer into you doing animation and drawing hip hop artists for a living?
Well, that's quite a big jump. I mean, I was writing graffiti for many years, but I was more interested in the artistic side than just by bombing. You know, just getting up as much as possible. That wasn't really in my nature to do that. I was more interested in the medium, or what a spray can could do, where I'd find a quiet spot and just practice, than just cause a lot of damage. You know what I mean? In a funky way. You know what I mean? But I was more so the graffiti thing. That captivated me, but I was drawing before that, and only recently, as I got older, you know, I was more true to myself than just creating an ode to New York, you know, that I did through letter styles and characters, b-boy characters and stuff. It was always, you know, I was expressing myself, but it was more of an ode to New York, even without me realizing it. So yeah, the illustration, man, I just practiced my craft, which had nothing to do really with hip hop. It was just I love comic books, and you know, artists like Robert Crumb and Mobius, the European sort of legend, and sort of back engineered their style when I was very young, as you do, you know. I mean, in the old school way, biting was frowned upon, but I mean, sometimes that's how you learn, isn't it? I guess to bite, back engineer it, and then make it your own. So that's what I did, you know, picked up a pen. It's a good way to express myself, you know. It's good therapy as well, without realizing it, because you're in a very mindful way, you know. When you're creating, you're not thinking, not letting the natter, you know what I mean? You're in a nice place. I just combined the two to create these drawings. You know, it happened very organically.
So is this your full-time job, or do you have another job on the side?
I have another job on the side, but it's still artwork. I'm a lead concept artist in the video game industry as well. So I have been for 2 decades now, but that's still painting and drawing, really. It's the same sort of thing. And sometimes that crosses over. You know, I was working on DJ Hero many years ago, and we were working with lots of hip hop artists there, you know, Jazzy Jeff, Flash, Z Trip. A lot of artists was in that game, so that crossed over. But yeah, so I'm blessed to keep on creating, to draw, to support,
and doing what you love.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right. It's a blessing.
I think people underestimate the value in finding not only what you're good at, but finding something that you love.
Yeah, that's right. And the process of doing that as well. You know, it's not just the finished aspect of what you're doing. It's when you're passionate that the lines blur between a job, you know, a job to, you know, work. I prefer the word work to a passion. You know, your expression.
Which one do you feel more fulfillment from, I guess, out of the two? occupation slash, you know?
Yeah, I know. Illustration, like the traditional, that's far more satisfying because you're creating more neural connections when you're that's I learned that from actually people that have been through very severe traumas, and to heal themselves they write out what they've been through, or
Journaling.
that form, that's right, of writing it down, of journaling, is healing because it creates neural pathways. And I feel that's the same when you're doing traditional artwork, when you're applying a medium, be it sort of oil paint, watercolor, ink pen, or whatever, to a surface. I mean, it could be just mud. You know, you could be picking up leaves and just throwing mud around, or just making shapes in something, the dust, anything. But it's the process of it is very, very important. And I guess it's the ego gets in the way when all you're thinking about is the finished product, you know, the finished piece. When you know, I guess being a bit more mature now, I can pace myself and be more in the moment, you know, when I'm actually drawing, instead of just rushing it. And you know what, sometimes that comes in my mind, but yeah, I think that's very important. The traditional aspect for me, picking up a pen, is great, because digital is cool, but it's not as tactile as the traditional forms for me, because that's why we're here to have human experiences. And I feel, although digital art is cool, it's just not as fulfilling for me, you know. And it's harder because you get into not bad habits, but sometimes you get a bit lazy, you know, when you if I've been doing digital art for a while and then I get into having to do a painting, you've really got to focus on what you're doing, you know, 10, 20 steps ahead of yourself, instead of especially doing watercolor, because you know, you're not going to hit Command Z.
It's easier. It's way easier to correct, is what you're saying, in the digital.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
when you do it naturally, it's double, triple the work to make up.
It is. It's really, so you have to.
Or you have to go with it.
Yeah, that's right. See what happens, especially with some of these things, man. You just don't know where it's going to end. So that lack of control is a great lesson, you know.
And it helps you to have more self-control so that you don't make those mistakes, I guess, as often.
Yeah, you have to. Right. It becomes second nature. You know, your risk control, where you have the foresight to know where, you know, the light. If you're not looking at something in front of you directly in observation drawing, if it's just from your mind, you have to know where your light is coming from, or where the shadows fall across that object, you know, be it a forearm or a landscape or whatever, you know. So it's all, and magical things happen when you're just freestyling it. Because I know jumping about a bit, but a lot of the I would say almost 50% of Ego Strip illustrations, the ink illustrations, is freestyle. You know, it's directly on paper. There's no roughing out. I just go for it. Sometimes I'll do a little thumbnail illustration next to it, but it's just directly in pen to paper. And a lot of those early ones were done on the train on my commute to London, which I mentioned in the book, you know.
And I think I saw a little piece of a documentary or something. I don't know. You know, there's so much crap that you catch on the internet. But I remember something showing you on a train drawing a still. Now, I don't know if that was done after the book was complete to advertise it, or if that was really the process. Okay. Yeah, so that was during the whole campaign and everything like that.
No, that was my friend. Shout out to Brett Downrock Siphon, who's a brilliant artist and a filmmaker as well, documentarian. He filmed me doing a freestyle illustration of Prince Paul from you know, Stetsasonic, Taylor Soul, Grave Diggers, you know.
Legendary producer.
That's right.
from
man.
Long Island, Amityville. Shout out.
Yeah, yeah. He blessed me with a drop for the book as well. And his drop was the funniest out of everyone's, man.
Even funnier than Dave Chappelle's drop.
Yeah, well, Dave's didn't really have that element of humor. He was being really sincere, which was a beautiful thing. It was very heartfelt. But Paul's was just really funny. It was funny and quick, you know.
I gotta catch that or send that to me, please.
Yeah, I will. I have.
I don't think I've never seen that. How do you? This is not even something that I already had written. Now it's just inspiration talking to you. I kind of notice certain people come up in the drawings more than others in general, not in the book, just in general. Are these people that you tend to like to draw more? Do you like their music more? What's kind of, why do they repeatedly come up?
Can you give me an example?
Oh man, and I'm cheating. All right, like MF Doom. I see MF Doom is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Shout out to Long Island again, Long Beach's very own. I see MF Doom very often. Now I'm like, either he really likes this guy's music, which could be one, or he just loves drawing this mask thing and it looks great in his. So I just wonder, like, what that is, because there's some of them that are definitely common themes.
Yeah,
there's no question. So I'm just like, all right, let me ask Stan now. It's like, what the dealio? What's up with that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love his skill, and I've been a fan since KMD. You know, Gasface days, third base, and I won't go off too off on a tangent.
So we're talking Zev Love X days.
Yeah, that's right.
Zev Love X.
DJ Sub Rock, and so I love the intrigue because he's in a mask, and I'm not the biggest fan. I love his music, but I couldn't tell you what my favorite track is, and I don't listen to him every day. It was more of the intrigue of the mask and what it stood for, you know, just classic MC skills and having the lineage of what he had. And it just looked, as for an artist, because he was masked, I felt, and it was a very strange psychological process of just, I felt I could just go different places with him as a character. It's a very strange reaction.
Not exactly. Almost like saying, okay, he has a face, but he is faceless at the same time. And because of that, I can get creative with it.
Yeah, it was the intrigue of when Wu-Tang first came out and it's the album. I felt quite disappointed when I started seeing their faces, because I loved that they were all stockinged up.
The stockings, the bank robbery,
the secret. Yeah, I loved it. And so I think maybe that's got an element of, I don't know where that comes from, but of for some reason,
well,
I feel I can just traverse crazy shit.
Can I put on my therapy hat for a minute?
Yeah, go on.
Can I play my pseudo therapy?
Of course, yeah.
Stuff. You did say earlier that hip hop reminds you of rebellion, I guess maybe I'm putting words in my anti-establishment, going against the grain, against all odds. Here is a man who goes through the system, right? Has a record deal, Elektra Records, this and that, gets quote unquote damn near homeless, suffers from mental illness, depression, reinvents himself, gets reinvigorated, puts on the mask as if he's the heroine, and then becomes quote unquote the villain, but not against people, but more the villain against the industry, which kind of embodies that definition that you said of what hip hop means to you.
Yeah,
in some ways, right? Yeah. In a weird recycled way. That's him. So I don't know if that is something that you identify with on a subconscious
possibly
level.
I mean, I can tell you from, if I put a mask on, which I have done. This was a Mexican.
It sounds kinky, Dan.
No, this was a Mexican. Let me finish, man. This was a Mexican.
It was a Halloween party. I know it was a Halloween.
No, it was a Mexican.
Allegedly.
Mask. Well, this was for a DJ Hero fancy dress party. It was a work thing, and they had a party, and it was a fancy dress thing. So I dressed up as one of the characters, and he had like the denim, the Lee sort of denim with the graffiti panel on the back, and a Mexican face mask. So I wore that, and because I had that disattachment for some reason, I was dancing for like 5 hours, and half of it, I would have never danced to this music. And I don't dance to that shit. I'm more just like b-boy, soul, funk, jazz, or whatever. But because I had this mask on and I was dressed up, I had it was just a very strange experience. And maybe it's something like that when it comes to doom. That is very random, and I feel I can just go places more than if I don't know.
No, that's deep. That's some real. So that's like the thing, right? People can become villains because they wear masks. They can do kinky stuff because they wear masks. They can become heroes because they wear masks. No, that's awesome, man. No, that's some deep shit, man. And just for the folks at home, before we came on camera and started recording, when I just met Dan for the first time, he was singing that beat. I just found that ironic. You were making some beat when I walked in. So there we have it. All right, SP, your turn. Let's get serious again. Here we go. Powerful impact. Boom.
Okay, so what is what do you find different about the graffiti and tagging of today than back then?
Well, I mean, it's a lot more accepted in the mainstream, you know, the average Joe, probably through the help of people like Banksy, you know, the ironic stenciler. He's cool, you know, has its place, and he opened up the floodgates for a lot of really good talent where they weren't there wasn't the unspoken rules, like, you know, of you have to get your letters down pat and the characters are secondary. That's sort of forgotten about now. You know, it's a lot more freer. You can just do like a 7-story mural of a, you know, of a blackbird or something, or you know what I mean. It's just, it's not so letter centric like it was, you know, and that's where I mean, I can't comment 100% because I don't really follow as intensely as I did. You know, I used to trade photographs when I was writing with other writers. So I don't do that now, and I come across pieces, and I still love seeing, you know, some lovely letters, some dope letters and wild styles, but I don't search it out like I was. I was proper, not just inspired, but obsessed, you know, with it. And so because I haven't got that anymore, and it's the time and the energy, you know what I mean? So I can't comment 100% on that. But things have changed, opened up, you know. I wouldn't say it's more creativity. It's just different. It's just expanded, you know. It's a huge global movement of art. Has that beautiful, and I keep on saying it, but that is, I really stand for that. You know, that's again the spirit of rebellion. It still has that, getting your stuff out there in the street. It's a great thing.
So what was your first paid gig?
Oh man, that was, you know, my first paid gig. All right. My parents split up. I was put in boarding school, you know, where you have to sleep there for a year. I created in clay a dog pissing up a lamppost, and someone bought that. I did a black Labrador pissing up a lamppost, and I think they bought that for £7, which was about $15, something like that. That was my first thing I remember I sold.
Allegedly.
It was probably me.
Yeah.
my favorite thing in the world was my grandmother had this velvet picture of dogs playing poker
Oh, yeah, I
hanging over
remember
her
that.
couch.
Yeah. Well, this was a sculpture. This was a clay model.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a painting.
He's trying to tell you this is serious art, SP's what he said. This is Van
That
Gogh
was
level.
serious art. Are you kidding me?
Michelangelo level shit. You know, the David. That's
Do
what he
you
said.
do
He's
you
like,
know?
he said,
Do
not
you
velvet,
know how
relax.
many households that picture was hanging in?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
up there
I
with
think my
Jesus
friend
and Martin Luther King. I know.
My friend's dad had that in his man room.
Man cave. I love it. Not like them velvet pictures. That's a throwback to the 70s and 80s. Shout out. Boom.
Yeah. I like the wallpaper.
So what was some of your favorite collaborations?
What, musically?
No, like your artwork, right?
With your art.
Artwork. Yeah, you know how like people reach out to you.
I never really collaborated with other artists, to be honest, to create artwork. It's always been a very individual expression for me.
Oh, I thought like artists reached out for like album covers. That's what I meant, like album covers.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Whatever.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
because I know you did the blue cover. You did the blue and knots, right?
Okay,
that was you. That's what I meant. And Odyssey, I think you did an Odyssey poster. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that was for Mellow Group Music. Oh, I thought you meant collaborations when you mean other artists. I thought you meant visual artists, but you mean musicians.
We should mean like commissions, right? Like I guess commission collaboration. That's what I meant. What are some of your favorite commissioned collaborations?
Well, the Raekwon album cover was a great experience.
Oh, The Wild. You did that?
That's it.
Oh shit!
I did. De La Soul for their Kickstarter campaign for their
Nobody's. Everybody's, whatever. I can't get.
I can't remember the title.
You did that cover too?
No, I didn't do the cover.
Okay, the Kickstarter.
I did a piece of artwork for actually this one here.
Yeah, they said Dan Lish allegedly. They said, "Yo, Dan Lish, he could do that, but the album artwork is going to cost us way too damn much. It's going to cost more than the album."
I'd love to have done more artwork. The thing is with this is that Poss didn't really explain himself too well, and so I did him all of them contemporary, but he said he wanted them looking from 88, with the high tops and all that, so I had to redo it, but it was for their Kickstarter campaign, so people would buy the print to help. It's like an incentive that they pay, they buy the print and it helps them get to where they need to go to create the album. So you can see they're quite small as well.
You're going to make an NFT out of that, brother. You got to make an NFT out of that. That's amazing.
It's difficult when you have to. It's very sort of not treacherous ground, but when you're using someone else's likeness to that, it's got to be a collaboration. When you're
De La Soul, if you're out there, Neville saying, let's make this happen. Boom.
Yeah. No, yeah, that would be nice. But in regards to your question, it was Raekwon. I mean, even I worked with Cypress Hill. That was, although I wasn't really too keen on the actual music. Working.
Whoa.
Yeah, Cypress Hill. There's been a lot. Omar, the soul singer, the legend, the UK soul singer legend. That was great working with him as well. We become good friends since that. That album cover was really cool to do. It's been a lot, man. It's just.
How did they reach you, or how did they come across you? Was it the same thing like me? Like, okay, I'm on the internet, I see this guy's stuff. Is it you're at a concert? Like, how do they find you?
Yeah, it's not in person, obviously, because of the distance. It's always, I would say, is 90% through Instagram. They just message me directly, and that's how we you know, and then we take it to phone calls or emails or something like that, or meetings, Zoom meetings or something. But it's mainly through Instagram, to be honest. They reach out through that, and then we take it to email.
And then we take it to the bank. Cha-ching.
So, how did Ego Strip come about?
Well, that was again. Well, I did this. I wish I had an example of it, but this is where you can stick up the example, which I'll send you. For my dear friend, break DJ Lacey, rest in peace. I was doing his album covers, and the album cover that sort of got like a cult sort of status, really, and it got bootlegged sort of hundreds of times, was the Block Party illustration. I sort of captured a time. I will get to your question. I'm answering your question. It's very long-winded. I captured a time in the park, you know, in like the late 70s, and I did this illustration with the DJ in the sound system and the MCs and the people in the park just having a party. And it was an ode to New York City, the roots of it, you know, where it all began. And my wife twisted my arm and said, "You really should be getting this stuff up on the internet," because I wasn't with it. I wasn't into it. I thought it was just very narcissistic or something, but I just had these silly things in my head. Anyway, I put it up there. It did well. It got circulated really well. Pete Rock and Rakim on different occasions used the artwork and said, "Yeah, remember where it all comes from. It comes from the streets. Don't forget about the roots." And I thought that was brilliant. And I created little pictures of them as a thank you, but I did it in a very un-b-boy sort of egoic manner. You know, that just the setting was them in a sort of very relaxed, introspective, sort of creative process. You know, either fiddling with knobs in the process of actually creating something in the studio, or if it was an MC like Rakim, I did him just sitting at a kitchen table, you know, writing a rhyme. But instead of just a portrait taken from one photograph that people have seen a zillion times, I took multiple pictures and just sort of recreated him facing a different way in the process of writing a rhyme. And it was follow the leader. I had that in mind. So when he was talking about traveling through the universe, you know, through balls of clay, little planets and all this, you know, I put that in the illustration, and people just loved it. And I hit a chord with people. People had never seen that before. And it was me giving back in my more honest way than what I'd previously done 10 years before. And through that honesty, and I think putting yourself not on the line, but just doing it differently, it just blew up, you know, and it went really, you know, it was just great. And it's carried on from that. A good reception. I thought, you know, not just because of that, but I wanted to see where it went. It was Paradise Grey from the X-Clan reached out to me for the Block Party, and I did a little thank you for him as well. And I put him, because he's got his wonderful big dreadlocks, you know, grey, with his dark complexion and the white hair. He just looked just powerful to me. And so I did him in a relaxed, like he's just forgotten his house keys or something, you know, just not in like a b-boy stance or a pose, or, you know, it was just, and that really resonated with me. So I carried that on, and that went on to Kool Keith, to Bam, to just went all over the place. And as the illustrations, I wanted to do cruise, the illustrators had to get bigger, because I was drawing these on the train up to London, and they started off, about this big, which is half the size of this. So they,
It's like postcard size.
yeah, that's right. We call that. We got a European standard of paper size out here, so they were A5, which is quite small, and that doubled and then tripled as the crews got bigger. So by the time I got to Wu-Tang Clan, they were getting sort of this big, so they were getting a lot.
That is so dope.
Not too big.
Bring it towards the left. Yeah, towards your face. Yes, perfect.
I was still doing this on the train, so the faces aren't perfect. They're still a bit wobbly because I'm rocking around like this, but where I can I'm going tick 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 tick. I'm not just doing one line. So if the train moves, I'll wobble. The eye ends up halfway up his head or something. Because of my style and the way I'm just doing zillions of little ticks, I can make it work. I can slowly build it up, even when I'm in motion, even when I'm sort of being slightly.
You draw like a dot method? You draw like dots?
No.
Tick, 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 tick,
tick, tick, tick, tick. Not dot, dot. Tick, tick, tick.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like wow.
That is dope.
Yeah, that's that was another one on the train.
Yes, there it is. Now it's in the center. Yes, that's MF Doom with a staff. You see what I'm saying? SP, like he does it, but then the background is some like Willy Wonka, Alice in Wonderland, just some left field. Yeah. Definitely like some mushroom acid type.
These characters. Yeah, I enjoyed doing really sort of tripped out, bugged out characters.
Who's that by your pinky? Who is that character by your pinky? That's him too? That's another metal face?
Yeah, they've all got metal faces, but I'm not. I don't know who that. He's just got
the illest wallabies on, man, and the old school record player. That is so dope. It's got like a Gucci or Louis Vuitton bag with wallabies. I love it.
It's hard to sort of to do this because it's all back to front, so it's like doing it in a mirror, but you can get the
level of detail. Dope. The level of detail is amazing, and then you paint them. How do you? Well, I don't know if it won't, but how do you?
And down to the shoes.
Exactly.
I scan it. I've got a large scanner, so I scan it and then digitally color. I try and make the digital color as organic as possible, so it's quite messy, not as tight, but. It's easier because it's spontaneous. I'm doing it on the train and I just scan it and digitally color, then it's done. Because it's on the wrong paper for me to put watercolor or something to apply color on it because it's on cartridge paper or Bristol board, which is a real nice thick card stock sort of paper. It's very smooth, so there's not a lot of friction when I'm applying the lines, so. This makes it all easy for me to do. There's a Dilla. Hang on, there we go. Ooh.
That is beautiful, man.
Wow.
R.I.P. to Dilla. That's beautiful, man.
That great.
Yeah. Here's this one was really fun to do, and rest in peace to Biz as well. This was done about 5 years ago.
Oh wow!
Oh, there we go.
Play the music.
This is all in reverse and back to front. So it's like doing it in front of a mirror. Everything is in reverse. So apologies for if I'm, wobbling about. When was this done? This was in. It was 2016. So it was quite a while back.
I love the fact that you said you're a B-boy. I mean, I just love that. He's like, I'm a B-boy, and that's anti-B-boy behavior. I love it.
Yeah.
But nothing wrong with getting bucks and being a B-boy, Dan. Jay-Z has taught us to get bucks while being B-boys. You know what I'm saying? So I respect that.
Yeah, it's in the blood. So if I hear just someone cutting up well and correctly, they're not too sloppy, and the selection is great, is dope. I'm usually on the floor, but not falling over on the floor, but I'm dancing, you know, hard. If the music is right and it's played right, I'm right there. But I must admit, with knee injuries from the past, they do catch up on you after a while. So
The windmills aren't the same. They're a little wobbly now. The
oh
windmills.
god,
It's all
yeah,
good.
the stamina. It's like asking a boxer who's been out of the game for a decade just to do 2 rounds. Oh, by the way, can you just do 2 rounds? And you'll be so out of shape. And just, you know, your body will just be screaming at you the next day, man, because the conditioning goes. It just goes. Anyone, it's and plus, you know, back in the day, you know, if you heard the music and the spontaneity, you wouldn't warm up, you wouldn't stretch and loosen up. You just hit the floor as you know, push everyone out of the way and just get in the cipher, you know. Yeah, so my left knee is needs some help nowadays. Yeah, man. Look, this is another one. See, I'm doing. This is a bigger one now. So this, obviously, I'm not doing these things on the train.
Ooh. Bring that over towards you,
wow.
towards your face. Yes. Wow. Nas, Biggie, Kanye.
Yeah.
MF Doom.
We got Redman, and there's 2 because this is a commission for a very well-known comedian in England, and he chose his 10 favorite MCs. So I've got Pharoah Monch, but there's Rodney P and Roots Maneuver in there as well, because they're his favorite. This is a commission for him.
So
for Ramesh.
And you colored it actually onto it. That's colored.
Yeah, this is watercolor. It's
So-
ink and wash, so it's ink pen, and then I applied the watercolor. So that's going out to him soon.
What size is that roughly?
I
16 by.
no, it's bigger than that. I think it's like 29 inches
Colors are beautiful.
by 18 inches, something like that. But then we got this big thing. This is the latest one. So this is
Oh wow.
yeah, this is 50 producers, but the 50 it turned into 64. So I mean,
Wow.
we got Premier, Spinner, Pumpkin, Paul C, Lord Finesse. These are my favorites.
Alchemist.
Clark Kent,
Mhm.
Alchemist, Tony D, Marley Marl, Large Professor, No ID, Lovebug, Herbie Lovebug, Showbiz, DJ Too Tough, KK Def, Kenny Parker, Scott La Rock. You know, they're all there. Eric Sermon, Pete Rock. You know, there's a lot.
Questlove.
Jazzy Jeff. That's it. Yeah. So there's a lot. Beat Miners. You got. Hang on, what way we go?
Shout out to Mr. Walt.
Yeah.
And Evil D.
Oh,
yeah,
I see. Keith Shockley from Bomb Squad.
That's right. Yeah, the brothers there. Got Mantronics.
Jam.
Big
Oh,
Bucks.
shout out to Mantronics. You know how bad I want Just Ice on. I see Jam Master J.
Yep. And that's
Rick Rubin.
yeah, that's right.
Rick Rubin's a mermaid chilling.
This is-
It's so dope.
Yeah. Sorry, it's too big. I got
Oh, dude.
And is that
Uh-huh.
MF Doom right there in the corner?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I got Diamond D.
There's
Diamond
like
D.
branches coming out of it.
I got
Yeah,
Egyptian
Diamond D.
Lover. There's Egyptian Lover. Tony
Yeah.
D. I mean, not Tony D. Kenny Dope.
Yes.
Uh,
RZA.
yeah, RZA. Q-Tip. Madlib. It's everyone's there, man. So that's a big one.
Jeez. What is that? Like 30 by 40?
That's 40
Wow.
inches. 40. I think it's 40 inches by. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's like that's a living room piece right there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is that for somebody or you just did it for yourself?
Well, Sotheby's in New York are interested. I'm talking to Monica Lynch. We've been having a great discussion. So next March, Sotheby's are going to be taking about 10 to 15 pieces to be auctioned at Sotheby's. So that's going to be great.
You heard it here first on Powerful Impact.
From
the countryside to Madison Avenue.
Won't be calling me up and telling me you shouldn't have said anything yet, but
don't worry. This ain't gonna air we're not gonna air this until all of that is cleared. Once that paperwork is cleared and that ink is signed, then you go, all right, Nev.
No,
you get to go.
It's fine. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. If it does happen, I'm sure it will happen. It's going to be March 2022.
So hold on, folks. Hold on. I'm sorry to cut you, Dan, but let's just get this in perspective here. When we talk about Powerful Impact, you could be drawing on the train, folks, and get to Sotheby's. Okay, anything and everything is possible. All right, Dan. Dan is a very humble guy. He's gonna be now in the same. He's gonna be in the same auction block as people like Basquiat. Okay, this is serious. Wait, he froze. Did you freeze, Dan?
No.
Oh no, you just in the B-boy stance. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. No, I thought you froze for a minute. I'm like, wait.
No, I was listening. I was just listening.
Yeah, that was heavy. You didn't even breathe. You didn't even blink.
No,
all right, so
breathing. I was very slowly breathing, listening to what you were saying and trying to take
imagine,
it all in as well.
That's a lot. Like you're talking legend Sotheby's. Like, come on, man. That's like we went from Applebee's to Sotheby's. You were on the train to now Sotheby's. That's amazing. That's it. I'm done.
Amazing.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, I'll give it to Monica Lynch. You know, she got in contact with me. So
now, what's weird is I can't get that rhyme. You know the rhyme I'm thinking. I cannot say it here. This is a children's show. But I remember when RZA said Monica Lynch's must be dripping. I don't know who she is. I should, but I remember that rhyme. Can you tell us who Monica Lynch is? Because that's all I know about her. That is so
she was she was the president of Tommy Boy Records and managed a lot of MCs and I think she was.
Now I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, working with
Queens,
Latifah.
Queens, yes.
Yeah, she was working with Latifah, and I'm not sure, man.
Flavor Unit, the whole Flavor Unit.
Yeah, she's
Tommy Boy, Digital Underground.
She's got
all of them.
Huge history. She's got stories for days and days.
And that's right. RZA was signed to Tommy Boy. That's right. That makes sense. Because I remember when he said it in a rhyme, I was like, why didn't he say it?
DJ Toast and Paul Nice, when they did the Grown Man Rap Show, they interviewed her on that, and that was a really good interview. But yeah, Monica's just been in it since, the early 80s, behind the scenes, and just, although behind the scenes, she really helped get people's careers moving.
She worked with Dante Ross too, I think, right? Dante
Ross. Right, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So she was, but you could just do an internet search and all this history will be there. But I mean, she could write a book with all the. I mean, she was just telling me a couple of days ago. Just Ice used to always come into the office because he fancied the one of the secretaries, so he always used to come into the office.
You just said a magic word right now, okay? Last night we had on somebody, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say, but anyway, we had on somebody, and he's close to somebody else, and I asked our interviewer to please ask if that person or Just Ice would come on to the show. And now I'm hearing about Just Ice now the next day. So I think this is amazing. Monica Lynch, if because people are telling me like Just Ice has kind of disappeared off the face of the earth for like the last decade. I don't know where to find him, but I'm getting Just Ice on the show. That's amazing. He's one of my favorites.
I met him in 2006 at a Zulu anniversary. I think it was the 32nd or 33rd anniversary up in Harlem, and I met him there, and I just went up to him, and for me he was quite intimidating because he's a big he's a big cat, you know what I mean? He's just big. And you hear about when he was in London, you know, the rumours that he stuck up the bus driver when he didn't want to perform, and he told the bus driver to take him back to the hotel. And so I had these images in my head, you know, when I went up to him, said, "Yeah, man, I'm a big fan from England. Can I just take a picture of you?" And then Flash and DST was in the picture as well, and I looked like a rabbit in headlights. You know, I was very overwhelmed because Just Ice was one of my childhood heroes. You know what I mean? With his gold fronts and
and the hat and that hat and the
hat,
chains,
yeah.
and
his
Ice
voice,
is one of the illest.
His presence was huge on the mic.
Yes, very domineering, very positive, very spiritual. The 5% stuff, like just not a joke, not a joke.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah,
sorry, SP, your turn.
No, I'm glad to hear the stories. You know, that's my favorite part, is getting us to share those stories so that the younger generation can actually hear them and see how special it was. Yeah. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, my time in New York, it wasn't for very long, but it was intense and it was very, very special to me. And my wife was battling as well. We were still dancing then, so we were we were competing a lot, and I was involved, you know, doing my DJing thing, the graffiti thing, and being an active b-boy. I wasn't particularly that good, you know, compared to all the other talent out there, but the passion was there.
Yeah.
You know, and the love of it, and you know, I proved that just by hurting my body so much. You know, I ended up in hospital and cracking my head on this floor, this granite floor, and you know, just like ended up in hospital with concussion and all this. It's just like my knee surgery and everything. Yeah, just I sweated blood. Yeah, it was proper blood, sweat, and tears for this, but it was just very obsessive, and I didn't really care. You're so in the moment, you don't really care about hurting yourself too much.
And people always think that we're exaggerating when I talk about we could be walking down the street and somebody has a boom box, and all of a sudden it's a piece of cardboard and it's a full-fledged party wherever we were at.
Yeah, well, even in the 2000s, for me, being you know, English and being there, you know, it was that timeless. It was still a timeless era. It could have been, you know, 30 years previous, but it was still happening. You know, we'd go to like Rocksteady anniversaries, or even just hanging out in Queens or Brooklyn with like the Breaks crew, or BIS, or you know, my peoples out there. We were just tight. We would just dance, you know, just if the music was right. It just we didn't care. It was on the concrete. And for me, you know, being a white boy from England, right in the middle of it, it was a beautiful experience. Heavy, just right there, man. Yeah, adrenaline's going. You're just like, you're a little bit on edge as well because you're right in the middle of the projects or something. So, you know, but that makes it that much more intense. You know? As a beautiful human experience, man. It was just really intense, and I'll make an effort to go to the Bronx as much as I could, and go to the park jams, you know, Disco King Mario at Rosedale, or Tony Tone, and Dan the Beat Man, you know, doing their jams at Crotona Park. I'd love it. You know, just intense, you know what I mean, for me. And it was just brilliant experience. So that time there was integral. Is that a word? Is that the right word? I've just made
That's
that
the
up.
right word.
Yeah,
That's
to create that artwork now, it's all part of it. It's all part of the package.
so let me ask you this, because this has been an ongoing debate. So when you think of the term guest, and we know that white people have been a part of hip hop from the time I can remember, and it's still a topic of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on white people being guests in the house of hip hop?
Yeah, I can see that. I've never really over intellectualized that. For me, being a white person involved in hip hop, I always felt I had to sort of show and prove, not more, but maybe so. Just you're an outsider, especially being an Englishman as well. I guess I had to really, it's part of my character, but just getting quite obsessive about things. Maybe I think I'm on the spectrum of ADHD or something like that. I know I'm dyslexic, but anyway, so I'm going off the topic. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, guess thing. Yeah, why not? Because when it's it's the African drums and the griots and just like that spoken word element coming from the islands as well. The chatting, all the roots. Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not? I mean, I can speak on my English tribal roots from 3,000 years ago that the Romans annihilated. So I mean, there's that ancient tribalism in England as well. But from the African heritage and the sort of like the DNA of it, yeah, I'm a guest. I've got no problem with that. But from a human perspective, I guess it's you come at it as a guest, and for me, I was very conscious of that, so I had to prove myself more and have a huge slab of humble pie. But you learn so much, and then it becomes part of your expression, and you don't. It depends what situation I'm in. I probably still see myself as a guest. So I'm cool with that. Whatever. I'm cool. It's part of my expression, but I'm happy with being a guest and also, but still being able to express myself through that. But if I'm in a different situation, if I'm somewhere where I'm the only white person there, and I'm in a different country, and with a different tribe of people, yeah, I'm a guest, and I have full respect for that. I've never really thought of it like that. Really, it's just I suppose I'm conscious of that, at the sort of the symbology of it. But yeah, that's a great question. I've never been asked that before, and it's good to tackle these sort of things. Just because everyone will have a slightly different answer, won't they? Because it's very subjective from your own experience. And me, I wasn't brought up in a predominantly black neighborhood. It wasn't like that at all. And there was a lot of racism in the 70s and 80s in England. And that was just all part of the journey. It's shit, it's nasty, but you learn a lot of deep lessons. I can't, express that from your point of view. Again, it's very subjective, isn't it? So, but yeah, great question. Yeah, thanks.
It's always good. I always ponder that, because I've asked this question several times to different people over the years, and what I have found is universally white people, the white artists that I've talked to, and the white creators that I've talked to all say they're a guest.
Yeah. That's very humble. I think
The-
that's good. That's the truth, and that's their truth, and that's great.
and
They're
the black
expressing.
people, and most of the black people that I've interviewed, including a few from the Zulu Nation, not so much. They don't say that. So it's always interesting to me uh to hear the different thoughts on that subject.
Can I just interject that the way I've often said it, and I use this metaphor or an analogy or whatever, is like, for me, if I wanted to get to the roots of something, and I use this example, if I wanted to get to the roots of kung fu, I wouldn't go to Sweden. You know, if I wanted to get to the roots, the essence of hip hop, and I guess it's the black experience. I'm not black, so I'm a guest coming there, intrigued, with humbleness, but with passion, and it's still a human experience. I was going to say experience, but it's just trying to embody that as much as you can, and I guess that's why I didn't mind shedding blood over it and trying like twice as hard in my respects, to the point of like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You know, you're doing too much. You know, just calm down, will you? You know, but honestly, I would, and I got into a bit of shit over that, I suppose. Well, I can understand, and I was just getting obsessive again. We'd do this dollar jam, me and King Uprock of Dynasty Rockers, one of the original Uprock crews from Bushwick. Or was it Bed-Stuy? Yes, Bushwick. Yeah, Bushwick. We'd be doing this dollar jam. I would DJ for 5 hours. And that's a lot of record crates. You know, this is before Serato and, you know. And I would stop DJing and enter a battle as well, a B-boy battle. Enter that, get out of that all hot and sweaty, and get behind the turntables. And it's just, I just like, you know, and people be like, what the hell are you doing, man? Are you mad or something? Or just like, stop being an idiot. But that was me. I didn't care. I was just like wanting to experience or just get, you know, sucked into whatever I was doing, you know, as much as I could. So yeah, sorry, I was just it's hard to put it into words, but you know, it's that obsessiveness, really, that single-mindedness of trying to get to, and maybe trying way too hard as well. Not just needed to relax a bit more. But that's my journey, you know. That's all
of course,
twists and turns. Yeah, it's funny, and I guess it's the age as well, where your mind is at different journeys, different epochs of your traveling. You know. Sorry, I'm starting to ramble now.
So yeah.
Now, it's 10 o'clock. I'm starting to get tired.
Okay, so
Yeah.
well, can we squeeze a few more in before we let you go?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. What advice would you give to someone who wants to be a part of your profession? It's your journey was a little different than most. So considering all that you went through, what advice could you give someone who wanted to do what you do?
Well, just draw and paint as much as possible. That craft, you really have to put the hours in, the discipline, you just have to keep drawing and painting and experimenting. And when
Mhm.
you find something that you is working out, then just keep on pushing it. I put thousands and thousands of hours in to the craft, and that speaks for itself. And the people have got to do the same thing. You know, once you get the craft, and I'm still learning every day. You know, don't get, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a master or anything. I'm still a student in life and the art form. And just a big piece of humble pie. Just keep learning, keep creating, and see where this journey takes you. You know. I mean,
So,
that's advice, man. Just keep drawing and creating if it's for the artwork. And that's the same as if you're a graffiti writer or a b-boy or doing anything in this world. You got to put the discipline and the hours in. And if it's not fun, then stop doing it. To an extent. Though, you know what I mean? Because I don't just do this for fun. That's not a good word to say. Really, fun. It's a bit sort of thin. It's finding your purpose and your expression.
When we have this, I think everybody is so curious about these NFTs, and a lot of people don't know a lot about it, and they aren't really sure exactly what it is. So have
yeah, me too. Yeah, go on.
But do you think it is a bit of a game changer or a trend?
It's early days still. I really can't tell. I personally, it doesn't really do it for me. You know, in this physical realm, this physical 3D realm, that's where it's at for me. I'm not a big fan of just digital non-human activity. I can't sniff it, spit on it, or scratch it. I need to have that physicalness, so I can grab it or just, you know what I mean? Not
These
just
are the dog references.
So, I mean, it has its place, and I'm still getting to grips with it. And I think a lot of people are very intrigued when they see a cat fart in a rainbow and it's made, $1 million or something. I really don't understand that. I don't really understand.
Powerful impact. You can't fart in a rainbow. I love it. We were always looking for the phrase, and I think that sums it up. Powerful impact.
Yeah. Is that a mic drop there?
Definitely. Shit, we're coining that one. You'll get your royalties.
I'm not really
fart in a rainbow. I love it.
I think people
bars.
People can you can see why they're intrigued by it, but I don't know. I'm going to give it a go at some point. I mean, I've done one with collaboration with Mixmaster Mike, which was a great experience because he gets right out in the cosmos as well. And so I created the artwork for him. We got Elise, I can't remember his last name, but he's a great animator. I think he's based in New York. So he animated my piece. And that's up there. But I need to have a meeting to see what's going on because I really don't understand it too well. To comment too much on it, it's quite strange. Yeah, and if it's going to make some money,
I can't wait till next year this time when you're a multi-millionaire for this shit, and you're like, man, was you do the Rodney Dangerfield? Who would have knew?
That's great. If NFTs can get me some land and I can go off grid and I can support my family, then yeah, cool. I'm with
Dan, let me just say this real quick. Dan, the Bored Apes NFTs were selling for $800 back in March. Then they started the Yacht Club. They're selling now for $250,000 and up. Wow. Yeah. So trust me, that is one stinking fart in a rainbow.
Yeah. yeah. Yeah, I suppose it's a watch this space moment, isn't it? But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And
I mean,
trust
I'm
me, no disrespect to them, but Dan, your artwork looks way better than them fucking Bored Apes, man. So 2.5 million, 250 million is what I see, man.
I think it's the timing as well. It has to be. It's the timing, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it becomes that successful, but you know, I'm being taught
6 months, and then you got Tory. What's his name? Tory Lanez. Is that his name? Is that his name?
Mhm.
The artist. 57 seconds he sells for $1 million. He sells 1 million of them in 57 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, that rainbow.
I'll look into that. Yeah, I'll see. Because I mean, my stuff is quite niche. I mean, it has a lot of craft and you know, it's a lot going on, but it's still quite niche in a way. It's not that universal cat rainbow appeal.
I don't know, but hip hop itself is universal.
Yeah, it is. What I'm getting at is that it seems to sort of. Man, I'm just going to shut up now because I really don't know what I'm talking about. It's too early. It's too early for me to realise these things. I've been told that.
I know somebody. I think I know. You know what? Off thing. I think I'm gonna put you in touch with somebody. We can see what could happen.
Okay.
So, who are some of the current artists you're listening to?
Not much, to be honest. To be 100% honest with you, I've gone backwards. You know, I'm listening to more jazz. If I'm listening to sort of hip hop style beats, they're more instrumental, like, you know, Suff Daddy or Stro Elliott or Madlib instrumentals, or, you know what I mean? It's I listen to some sort of wacky shit anyway. I've always been very eclectic with my music taste. So again, it's that obsessiveness. You know, when I was a lot younger, I would just listen to MCs or just buy the latest album, but I'm really not looking for, especially when it's that popular, it really puts me off. I'd rather listen to some oddness, you know, some instrumental weirdness. Because remember, when I got into it, it was electro funk, that instrumental sort of style that got me intrigued with it first. And then came the MC and the rapping. And I think sorry, I've gone off on a tangent, but I think by like the mid to late 90s, I went back to my B-boy roots, more of the instrumental, digging for break beats and samples. And if I wasn't drawing, I'd probably be making music for sure. But yeah, I can't really answer that question. I'm not really. If I do buy vinyl, is some weird sort of library music or some, like, I've fallen in love with the sample that the artist has used, and then I've gone off in a direction to search for that original artist and then appreciate their music. Like when we first started chatting, I had Ahmad Jamal on in the background, and I've been, you know, I've loved his stuff for years, but that's put me onto other jazz artists and even like the hybrids of music that comes out, like, you know, like sort of England sort of broken beat, sort of, there's a new jazz resurgence in London. There's a lot of young kids in London that are just doing very sort of new style jazz, which has got that hip hop influence as well, but also Afrobeat influence. It's very eclectic. So I'm more into that, I'd say, nowadays than just yeah. So it's very mixed, but I'm really not looking. I think as I get older, I can only listen to a bit of rhyming, a little bit, because it's like a jab in the head. It's like, you know, where I'm more, as I get older, I'm more getting into melodies and sort of space in between notes and more than just you know what I mean, just like constant barrage of lyrics. And to be honest, what people are chatting, I'm not really feeling it as well. So that's why maybe I've gone more instrumental. It's quite a big, deep sort of question, which I can ramble on for quite a long time about. But yeah,
well,
still more instrumental. Man. What's that?
If you thought that one was deep, what would you like your legacy to be when it's all said and done?
Oh God. I don't know.
I would let's ask the other ones that he kind of wanted us to ask.
I think that's an ego thing. And then we can go to that. That's an ego thing, and I'm more as I get older. I'm the ego is there for
ego strip.
Yeah, it's there for a reason, but it's when it's imbalanced. I think maybe I'm not that fussed about the legacy, really. Just to be righteous and just be the best human being you can be, and yeah, just sow the seeds of just some good, righteous, soulful stuff for the next generation. Really, whatever that could be, just to traverse this reality with grace, wonder, and honesty.
I wonder, Dan, do you think that like Michelangelo, here we go, right? Michelangelo, Van Gogh, these artists, when they were Da Vinci, when they were doing their art, what do you think they were going for? I'm sure people weren't interviewing them, asking them, what do you want your legacy to be? But what do you think they were going for? Even Basquiat, I don't talk to many painters or people of the like. What do you think they were going for?
It's a childlike curiosity. I think that artists, they can tap into their inner child, that curiosity and the wonder of what the hell are we doing here? We're not just here to sleep, eat, work, repeat. We're here to experience this reality, and I think artists can tap into the more heartfelt and etheric nature of our reality with that expression of visual art. They were probably very very insecure, very maybe wounded individuals. I really don't know, but they were searching, is having that curiosity to search and to express yourself with whatever medium you pick up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of hip hop artists have passed away in the last year or two at a rapid rate. Why do you think that is exactly?
I don't know. Maybe it's the. I really don't know. I've just realised that I thought I had an answer, and I don't know.
Because obviously the pandemic, but besides the pandemic, we're talking Shock G, DMX, what's his name? Mary J. Blige, Chucky Thompson, producer. What are you thinking about?
Black Rob.
Black Rob, yes. So this is like addiction issues, substance abuse, depression, blah 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 blah. Like, what do you kind of? You who's grown up in it and watched all of these people pass away.
Well, I really don't know, because I've had deaths that have been sudden and shocking close to me, and there's no answer apart from you just got to take each day. I don't know, it's been said 100 times, it might sound a bit corny, but as a gift, take each day as a gift, because you don't know when your time is up. And I don't know. It's shocking when people pass, because the physical is gone. It's then you realise, it's very typical, isn't it, when people realise that the quality of what they've left, their expression and their memories are just left that resonate for a long time after. But I don't know why folks leave when they yeah, good question, man. But when your time's up, you just don't know, do you?
How do you think this affects? Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Let me go ahead. Yeah. How do you think it affects the hip hop community in regards to grief, depression, and PTSD with all these recent passings in such a short period of time. And these are, like you said before, you said these are heroes of yours, pioneers, people you've been around. Drawn, how does that affect you?
Well, I mean, it's very sad, and it is a loss. But I'm of the belief. I guess I try not to say belief because that like crystallizes. That's like a, like a full stop. This is what it is. But it's my understanding that we go on anyway to something else when the physical ends. It's like, our rental car, we go on to something else. So I don't think that energy has stopped. It just transmutes or goes to somewhere else within the physical death. That's my understanding, or I feel it more than being able to put it into words. So it is very sad, but I'm accepting of it,
Well, what do you think the hip hop community can do to help artists? We've been we've seen that they're not as healthy. The lifestyle was not a healthy one. And
Late nights, poor
I
diet,
think I think at some point, how do we as a community promote better health coverage for these artists, especially for the legends who there wasn't much money in it for them. They were just doing it because it is who we are. So how do we protect our legends as they do in so many other genres?
I haven't really got an answer for that. It's if I don't know, man. It's just
here's something, Dan. I'm not saying I have the answer, but you see how like you have the Sotheby's, things like that coming up, and then you said the fart in the rainbow with the NFTs. What about like that guy you said from X Clan? I know that he has a major part in the hip hop museum that is coming up in the next year. I was going to ask you this question even in general, but we kind of skipped over it. But what would be donations you would like to make as far as your work, or not even donations, contributions you would like to make of your work to the hip hop museum? Maybe things like that could raise money and raise charity to help the quote unquote pioneers. Are you dedicated to people that you really love? Does that make sense? Maybe that's the answer.
If Kool Herc is struggling paying his, the hospital fees, if he's in a bit of trouble, because I know he was a little while back. I'm not sure how he's doing now, but yeah, I'll be down for that, no problem. Just to I don't know. It's like having the trust, really, that the work is somehow going to help, like even if it's part of.
If it's going to get to them, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because,
but like you said, Dan, it's so early in it right now. Maybe in the 2-3 years when the museum actually is built or being built, allegedly, this probably will all catch up, and this conversation might sound antiquated, and we're actually there, and we're actually watching the unveiling and how much it's going for. You know what I mean? Who knows? But I guess we're talking about in the future, right? The crystal ball stuff. But I guess this is like the beginning of what could possibly be.
Who can? But you reach fundamental problems like how do you know, or who would be in the context of being worthy enough to accept funds? Like, is he? Who's
do what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or is it on a need, or is it just based on a need basis?
Yeah.
I was thinking I was thinking more along the lines of healthcare coverage. You
Yeah.
know, if it's a pool and everybody has some skin in the game, then it would be they shouldn't be having GoFundMe pages
No,
in
yeah.
order to
Maybe if
have
it's a
health.
charity, like a charity-based community project, or if it was like an online thing, but still had physical presence in a community. Say like in regards to Cool Herc, you know, if it's very difficult, but if you had like a community project that was physically there somewhere in the Bronx or near where he was born and raised, or it's very hard, man. But there was a pot that you could just put into to help out, you know, the individuals that are in need. But it's a very
Dan, I'm seeing that we're gonna have to definitely get you in the NFT community.
I was thinking more. I was thinking more along the lines of instead of putting your money into the Screen Actors Guild, you have a hip hop guild or whatever that pays for their health care. You know, they actually have insurance. And because it's such a large pool, it would be affordable, and it would be a way that they could always have protection. Just like you would do at any job, and the company pays for the employees at a cheaper rate because it is such a massive amount of people that they give them cheaper rates. So that's kind of where my mind was going, more so than trying to give a black man charity, or you know.
But it's on the respect of because it's very vast what you say. The idea behind it. I mean, does that happen in genres or cultures, subcultures, or whatever?
Like rock and roll, you mean?
Yeah, rock and roll, jazz.
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I mean? I don't know if that exists.
I get it. Yeah.
It's very localized, isn't it? They're localized.
I know jazz musicians definitely struggle. I know that in their older years, for sure, which is like the hip hop thing. Rock, I'm not sure, but jazz for sure. If it's not handled properly.
There was something I was going to get involved with Herbie Hancock's. One of his best friends was a trumpeter. I can't remember his name, but they were best friends, and he was very ill. And so I was going to help get involved with a print of Herbie and his friend or something like that. And the proceeds of that were going to go and help him, or the donations, or some percentage of that was going to help him in regards to the health. And that never happened, but maybe there could be sort of things like that. It's quite localized, and it's not so sort of it's more pinpointed into a specific direction or a specific person. If it's too big and open, I think the cash or whatever will just get you won't see. Yeah, you won't see it going into the right pinpointed spot. You know, just be all flitted away somewhere. I'm not really sure. You know, it's a great point, because we're all getting older, and you know, it's a huge subject of why individuals are in poor health in their 50s and 60s, and a lot of that is probably childhood trauma that starts off. You know, it could build up into sort of ways that individual is trying to heal themselves or medicate themselves, because they're in a state of, you know, of wounding. So there's so many physical, mental, and spiritual aspects to that. it's vast, isn't it? And it just differs with each person, each individual. So it's not an easy question to answer.
How would you like to expand creatively for the future?
Just more paintings, more larger pieces. One day, you know, I can get a studio again instead of working from, you know, the bedroom and the front room and the living room or whatever, you know. So it's quite difficult at times. Yeah, just to expand in different mediums, you know, more graphic novels. There will be a graphic novel that I will be finishing, which has been an over a decade in the making. So I'll finish up on that. So maybe not too much graphic novel like comic book stuff, because it's a lot of labor for not a lot of you know, readies coming back. You know what I mean? A lot of effort for not a lot of pay, basically. So singular pieces, larger paintings would be great. I'll sort of maybe focus on that. Depends on my time, really, if I'm not spread out too much. Another book, Ego Strip Book 2, that'll be coming out hopefully in the next year, you know. But yeah, bit by bit, really. Yeah, I don't really look too far into the future. I just try and be grateful for every day that I've got, and where my time and energy goes, you know.
Yeah,
I still want to do ink pen illustrations, but I want to expand to larger color pieces, canvas or whatever, you know, different mediums. Experiment, have the joy to experiment more.
So what I kind of backing up just a minute. I just wanted to know, what do you do for mental, spiritual, and physical health and well-being?
Well, like I say, drawing and creating artwork or any sort of mark making on a surface is generally good for human health. Just to, you know, just even if you're pushing around a color on a piece of paper or something like that, because it stops the negative monkey mind chat, and you're using a different part of your brain than the left problem solving side. You know, the sort of the more that, I guess, the feminine aspect, the creating is very important for mental health. Being in that moment of creation, being in nature, very important. Again, you're connecting to that feminine aspect of the earth, you know, Mother Nature and Gaia. You know, being around the trees is very, very healthy, and a great teacher. I'm a proponent for even microdosing on, you know, mushrooms or psychedelics or yeah, just the herb. You know, this it seems to have great benefits in cognitive thinking and just being more creative, instead of you know, having that imbalance of the egoic mindset. And yeah, just having that connection. You know, I sea swim all year round. You know, I mean, not really swim. My swimming technique's not great. I'm more like a piece of cork floated in the ocean, drifting. But winter, you know, cold water is very good for you. It's painful, and it's again, it's you could easily talk yourself out of not stepping into that. The cold vastness, you know, but I love it. And just being, yeah, lots of hugs, being with your loved ones, a strong community, you know, it's great. Yeah.
So you mentioned Ego Trip it was going to be a part 2. How do you get inspired when you're creating the artwork for Ego Trip?
It was coming very fast and fluid because I'm being pulled in different directions now. It's harder to sort of get into that mindset. But I think that comes with the sort of blessing and the curse of when you become more popular. But to answer your question, I just tap back into my past and whatever resonates. You know, that individual record or the song, you know, for instance, you know, JVC 4 Strong Island or whatever, if I tap into that, what it felt like when I was 16, 17 years old. And, you know, it's that strange thing with music, isn't it? If you hear it, you just feel that age of when it sort of permeated your consciousness. You felt it, everything about it. And when you hear it, you're right there again. It's a very strange thing that happens. It's just tapping into that. And but with being more mature, looking at it with a different consciousness of when I was 17. So there's esoteric levels to that that I like to explore. That at some point hasn't got anything to do with that particular song. It's just the nature of creativity and music. Be it frequencies and harmonics and you know, all this crazy cosmic shit. I love just, you know, that becomes part of it as well. And also having fun, just playing, just the act of play. It's not taking everything so serious. That's very, it's very a healthy thing to do.
Therapeutic.
Yeah, the act of play as adults is just to have no reason to do it, but just to explore and to create and throw paint around or just do some goofy thing, just to have you're right in that moment. It's very important. And
so
as well, sorry, can I just say how to breathe correctly as well? If I start getting anxious, all I do is this nose breathing only, and this is when I go into the sea. If I'm breathing through my mouth, I start, you know, you can easily hyperventilate and sort of get in panic. You know, I can't remember, you know, the actual, it's the flight response of your nervous system. You know what I mean? It's calming all that down, breathing correctly in anything that it may trigger that nervous response. Is I find nose breathing only really helps calm anxiety down. There's a brilliant book called Breathe, and I can't remember the author's name, but it's a lot of us, most of humanity is not breathing correctly, you know, so we just mouth breathing, we just like, you know, it's not focused.
Short breathing.
Sure, that's it. So if it's focused, even if it's for 30 seconds a day or a minute a day, it's just, and it makes you mindful again, you know, in that present moment. Such a sacred sort of simple thing as the breath.
Really and people take that for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we teach breathing all the time, you know, especially if you have asthma or COPD or any of those things, taking deep breaths through your nose, always through your nose, because that's what it's for. And then expiration from your mouth in a pursed lip form does so much to clear your airways. So well, I don't think people pay very much attention to that.
No, and I would even say just not even using the mouth to breathe, just nose only, even for the exhalation. There's different ways of doing it, because the Wim Hof guy, you know, that is, I think he increases his carbon dioxide, where he's just doing very quick and abrupt mouth
Mhm.
breathing in and out. I'm not familiar with what he does because I just focus on the nose to calm my nervous system
Mhm.
down when I go into a freezing cold sea, or if I feel
Yeah.
anxious in my gut, I focus on the nose
Mhm.
breathing. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Or there's another one where there's 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, release 4 seconds, and then and then another 4 seconds, and then breathe in 4 seconds. So it's like that. It's like a 4, 4, 4, 4, and that's good. I think
Mhm.
a lot of naval SEALs and people that are under high pressure, like bomb experts and all these type of people under really high pressure, they do that circular sort of breathing of fours. There's loads of techniques. It's fascinating,
Mhm.
it's all there for us to learn.
I do that in meditation, that breathing, that definitely in meditation and yoga pieces.
Yeah,
That guy that you're bringing up, is that the guy with the long hair that like swims in Antarctica? And I think you brought up somebody. I saw him on 60 Minutes. I said, this is amazing. And he was saying that
yeah,
you heal yourself from pretty much, he healed himself from cancer, all type of ailments based on his breathing and his circulation of his blood.
that's right.
Wow, not playing. What was his name again? I don't know for the people out there.
Wim Hof.
Wim Hof. There you go.
Yeah, but I don't
Um,
practice that technique, but it definitely does some amazing things for practitioners of that technique.
did you get everything you wanted out of your career so far? And is it everything you expected it to be?
No, it's been a great journey. I mean, the dollars in the cents just to make more cash would be great. I know it's a bit toxic sort of talking like that, but like I say, just making the cash for me to be able to go off grid and buy some land. That'd be great. So I mean, the more money would be brilliant. I'm still working on that, but that is a bit sort of toxic talk, really, because a part of me is still really grateful to be able to support my family. I don't project myself too much like that. Shit, I need to do this. I need to do that. I don't do that. And maybe that's why things aren't speeding up for me as much as maybe they could be, because I don't really think in that way. I'm grateful for each day and for what I'm able to do. And I would like to sort of get out there more. Maybe larger projects with bigger clients would be cool.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
we'll see. We'll see. There's still a lot of
Yeah,
opportunities,
but
and yeah,
Dan,
of
everybody's
course.
talking this lately. Now the new talk is money mindset, right? Think big, think big. And I do think that, being that I'm a boom bap hip hop guy, um, that backpacker mentality to a certain extent wants to reject money, right? Reject
yeah.
the money's evil. It's not a good force to be influenced by or
It's a
have your
tool. It's a
intentions.
tool. It
But
hasn't been around for that
yes,
long in our
yes.
history.
Wow, that's heavy. Okay, all right. Yeah. So I don't know if anything's wrong with what do you call we interviewed Uptown XO from Diamond District, and he had his 3 tape series about what was it, culture over commerce. I think that was the name of it, SP.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
always kind of the battle, right? Culture over commerce. And he has a clothing line actually come by the time this comes out, the clothing line is already out because he showed me some of the blueprints the other day. He said he showed me some for you, SP. He showed me some joints that you might like, but we'll talk about that
All
later.
right.
But yeah, culture over corporate, and I think there's always that battle over commerce versus community, right? Community versus commerce, culture versus
It's a
corporate.
balance. It's just a balance. You have to be
Yes,
aware of that. And I think if you're coming from a place of love and not fear, and what you're doing is from a
and
place of
authenticity.
that's
And I
right.
think definitely people can feel that and know that. I'm just for me, right? I'm not a therapist. I'm not whatever, but there's definitely I've noticed through the conversations like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. That's kind of it's like we kind of have to work on the stigma and the taboo of that and embrace it. because if it is in the right hands, it can do great things and have a powerful impact.
Mm.
When in the right hands, I mean, and Amir said it too. What is it? Mind over heart. That episode just he's saying like the mind's over the heart for a reason. Heart should be pure, but then mind clean to deal with what the heart wants to execute. So if you can keep the heart and mind pure and clean, you can do that.
I think there's part. I don't disagree with that, but I think if your mind can get cluttered, so I think it's a balance between. I don't know if it's mind first then heart. I think there might be a balance between the two, and a conversation between the two, and your gut. Supposedly there's we got three brains, brain, heart, and gut intelligence.
Boom.
I think all of that needs to work together, and that's a lot of work. That's a lot of interest
and getting all of them aligned in the right way.
That's right, and I think that some people can do that easily. I'm still working on it. I think it's a lifetime of learning. Really, it's it's not really in conjunction with the money mindset, but I think that just comes really. But you got to be really. I don't know, man. It's a real murky subject.
I want to ask one question before SD continues, though. How has the pandemic changed for the better or for worse, or just changed how you operate and how you do your business as an artist?
Well, I want to keep it positive because I've been having a very hard time with it. I've questioned it since day one, and I still. I'm very questioning of this mono narrative, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I think it's good to keep it positive, and it has come as a great gift for my inner working, like doing the shadow work, where there's been a quickening in why I'm getting anxious. Is it from shame? It is from shame, childhood shame, and feeling part of the community. And it's brought up all this stuff, which is deep shadow work, and it's been very painful. But again, it's been a great gift, but it's been really fucking painful. But on the work, it hasn't really changed anything for me being creative. It's just for my interior landscape that I've neglected, and my mind and my spirit, it's sort of I've really had to step up and clean out and go to places of pain and trauma. That's been a gift, but very painful because of this situation that we find ourselves in.
And success can make one feel imposter syndrome, survivor's guilt, things like that as well.
Yeah, I've never really felt that. Not in regards of your question. I've never really felt that. I just do what I do, and it comes from a place of authenticity. So I've never had that imposter thing, or whatever, or survivor's guilt, or whatever. I look at it as a big macro thing. Like I say, our time is, when the Great Spirit, that's it. It calls us. That's it. Our time's up. So I'm not really in any rush. I just have to accept, and if I get triggered emotionally, I just ask myself, or try and ask myself why that's happening, and do that inner learning, and that's what has brought this situation. It's been hard work, but it hasn't really affected the artwork. Apart from I haven't been traveling on a train. I've no need to anyway, because I've been working from home for 4 or 5 years anyway.
It's interesting. I think artists have these inner battles, though. The greats have these inner battles. I don't think it sucks, right, to say it. It shouldn't have to be hardship. It shouldn't have to be these things, but much of the great art does come from
You don't learn anything. You don't learn anything if you're given everything and there's no hardship or questioning. If it's that easy, you don't really learn. You know, everyone's searching for paradise or whatever, but you're not going to learn shit there, I don't think. We've got a beautiful struggle, and happiness ebbs and flows. You know, we're not going to find a permanent state of happiness. I don't think it exists.
Sorry to cut you, but I'm just saying, SP, we've learned some great stuff. In paradise, you ain't gonna learn shit. And then in the rainbow, what is it? You can't fart in the rainbow. These are the two takeaways for me. This is heavy.
So, who are the three most influential? Who had the biggest powerful impact in your life?
Yeah, no doubt. But it's okay, man. Don't worry. There's no wrong or right answer. This is just who has been the most influential and impactful in your life up to this point, professionally, personally, and I guess if you just want to throw in a miscellaneous category. Boom.
Oh man,
we don't play, Dan. We go heavy here, Dan. We go deep.
Okay. I'll start with personally. I mean, my mother and father, for what to do and what not to do, and how that impacts, you know, the now and, you know, later on. So, I mean, it's my mum and dad. Professionally, again, it's usually on not what to do. Part of me doesn't want to name names because I'm not happy with the situation, and he's not a man of his word, and I don't think I should name names right now.
This is a first. I love it.
You learn from that. I mean, just people just talking complete shit, and you take it like, oh yeah, okay, you know, you believe. You have that faith and blind faith, and it's rubbish. And you just got to check yourself and know when you're being used.
This is golden. I love it.
I cannot say any names. I don't think it's right.
You're just gonna give us initials. It's okay.
BS. I'm not doing it. I always just use the shit out of them. I have to learn not to put myself in that position to get used. And I surprised myself. That I'm still falling for it. You know.
You're never too old to learn.
We all do. We all fall for it. We like to think that we have matured and are smarter, but we're human, and you fall for it, and it happens.
I think I've said that in personal and professional, and this situation we find ourselves in has been a great learner. There's such a huge multiple lessons as well, which I already sort of touched on as well. That's been the last 2 years, almost 2 years, been incredibly painful, but such a great learner in doing that inner work and your place, you know, on this earth. Yeah.
So I'm going to lighten you up real quick. Your top 5 MCs.
Oh man. All right.
Even easier questions. Top 5 solo MCs and top 5 hip hop groups of all time. And you don't have to give us any political answers of people you work with. This is your truth. This is your truth. That's what this is here. There's no wrong or right answer.
Groups.
Any order. There's no. We're not gonna give you. Yeah.
School of Hard Knocks. They were great. Which they don't get enough love. Public Enemy, Ultramagnetic MCs, the Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest. Is that 5?
I think you're missing one. but I could be wrong. Wait, School of Hard Knocks? Is that
Yeah.
one? Okay,
Yeah.
so I think that was that 5 SP?
Yeah.
True.
Oh, the five it changes a lot, but
So it was PE, Jungle Brothers, School of Hard
Quest.
Knocks,
School of
Quest. I'm
Yeah.
missing one. Who am I missing? Ultramagnetic.
Ultramagnetic, yeah.
So that's 5?
Yeah.
Is that 5?
I mean, that changes. I date myself incredibly.
Yeah, that's 5.
No, those are all pillars. Those are excellent answers.
Oh, they are, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, they're excellent answers. You can't go wrong with those. So top 5 MC solo artists. Any order, brother. Any order. Damn, Dan's like, I'm not coming back to this freaking show. This is like a game show. Oh, no cash prizes and nothing but high blood pressure and stress. Oh boy.
It's just I think it's just the usual, really. I mean, which has been said a lot, but I mean, it stands for being said a lot.
You're gonna give us the Mount Rushmore? You're gonna give us that? The Mount Rushmore?
Yeah. Rakim, Nas, Big Daddy Kane, Melly Mel for me, you know, as well, just from his presence and just his rawness and his testosterone, you know. And Doom, I think that's 5, is it?
Yeah, that's
dope. 4.
Oh shit! Damn!
Yeah, I didn't do very well in math. Let me see who else.
Say myself. Say Dan. Myself. I'm 5.
No, I can't rhyme for shit. Really, really, really bad at that. Let me see. Oh man, I'm struggling.
You see him, SB trying to cheat. He's going over to look over at his paintings and his drawings to go. Let me see what pops up over there.
Oh man,
he's just drawing a blank.
I could say Kool G Rap.
Boom.
I'll say Kool G Rap. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna throw one that wasn't even on there. Hold on, sorry, SP. Can I ask him one more thing, SP?
Because I was gonna throw in top 5 B-boys.
There you go. That's what there you go.
Right,
great minds think alike.
All right, Maurizio.
Is that one relaxing, Dan? Can you do that one? Cruise or solo?
Say that again.
Will it be cruise or solo?
Solo.
Cruise or solo? Okay, solo.
So yeah, Ken Swift from Rocksteady, Maurizio from, you know, I don't know if you heard of Maurizio, but he's just one of the dopest sort of style masters, but in that tradition of New York, because he's from Italy. Oh man, Easy Rock. I think he's from the West Coast. I think he was also down with Rocksteady for a little while. How many's that? Iron Monkey. Iron Monkey, who was just very powerful. And even this is dated as well, because there's kids out there now that are just doing some crazy. Oh, and Flea Rock. Flea Rock is great. How many's that? I think he's from Miami. Yeah, that'll do for now. Yeah, their flavor and character, and they're all steeped in the sort of the original essence of being. So their rhythm and their dynamics and their power and their attitude as well. It's great. Yeah.
So do you have any shout outs? Is there anything you're currently working on or that you want to promote?
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to J Period. I'm working with him. We work really well together, and we're still doing a lot of stuff together. So J Period. I'd shout out my wife Karen, my girls Abigail and Elsa, and also shout out Vinyl Veterans in Brighton. We're going to meet up soon. Ox the Architect, who was also down with Vinyl Veterans. J Live, who wrote the foreword to my book.
Boom.
Yeah, shout out to Dave Chappelle, who just helped me out a lot, man. Just like, it was great. And King Up Rock, Ralph from Dynasty Rockers, who was he was like, I guess he was like my big brother out there, and when I was out there in New York, and Papa Rich, Break Easy from BIS crew in Brooklyn. And I think that's it for now. That's what comes to mind.
Any projects coming up? Anything you'd like to promote at this time? And also, last one for you. Shout out to Sotheby's. Boom. But any projects coming out? Anything you're gonna be dropping that you want to mention now? And your social media.
Yeah, no. Shout out to Monica Lynch for getting me involved in that, because we'll see how this goes. But I'm very excited for that. My mum's very proud, so that's good.
Heck yeah. Your social media.
The Mixmaster Mike NFT is still happening. I think it's out there, but yeah, I'll keep people posted on that. Ego Strip Book 2 will be coming out in about a year. It's taken a long time. Let me see. So you can get me on Instagram, Danlish01, I think is at Danlish01 is Instagram, and you can buy prints and my book at Danlish Artworks. Hang on, shit, I forgot. Hang on a minute.
And you can get commissioned personal pieces as well. He probably doesn't want all of that work. It's a lot of work, but he does personal commissions.
Yeah, and now and again, but you can reach me through Instagram. But it's at dan.lish. No, hang on a minute. You're gonna have to edit.
Don't worry. No, don't worry. We can add it at the if you email to us, we can add it at the bottom.
Yeah, I'll do. Yeah,
but you can look it up too. You can look it up too if you want now. But we're gonna add it anyway. So those are the things people look out for. Ego Strip.
Well, you can find me on Big Cartel as well. Big Cartel. Yeah, with
Twitter,
bigcartel.com, and that's where you can get the prints and the book from. I'm also on Etsy as well. But you just put my name in there, and you can search me. No problem.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
I can't think of anything else.
We will definitely put all your links in the description.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I really thank you for coming. This was amazing. Your artwork is amazing. And I love that you have preserved some of our greats in art that is going to stand the test of time, because that Biz Markie was just fabulous.
Thank you for that.
So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks,
and I want to thank everybody for joining Powerful Impact. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, leave a comment, follow Dan and Neville. Powerful Impact.
Boom! Now you all go out there and make a powerful impact in the world.
Well said.
And thanks a lot, Dan, man. I really appreciate this. This man, I'm a fan of his work.
Kept you
I loved it.
Way longer, but we appreciate you taking the time and giving it to us. So thank you so much.